What's good, bro? This is a quick one to help my tall brothers out, cause I see that you are struggling to get big, while your shorter friends seem to just look at the weight and get jacked. But the thing is, bro, you gotta first and foremost understand your leverages and play by their strengths as well as their weaknesses. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's no secret that all lifters have trouble on bench press. Obviously, because mathematically you gotta move way more than a shorter dude. Your arms will travel a much bigger distance. But that, however, is a good thing for bodybuilding, because every rep will give you a lot of stimulus. And yeah, maybe you can't lift as much as a shorter dude, but you're still gonna get big. However, on lifts like the bench press and presses in general, it's very important that you don't lose your groove in the middle of the set. So you keep stable, and tall lifters have a problem with that, because, well, their arms are very lanky. So to keep yourself stable, you wanna make sure that your shoulders are very strong. So yeah, definitely don't skip overhead pressing or lateral raise work, because that will really help you out. Another thing, man, is that you gotta specialize in the arms department, because depending on how tall you are, getting the same measurement as a shorter guy just ain't gonna cut it. But what I mean when I say that you should specialize in the arm department is that you shouldn't train arms at the end of the session. You know, you had a pull day and you just do a few curls and you call it a day. You should really focus getting stronger and bigger arms, and for that you need an arm day. I won't spend too much time on this because I already made a video about it. I'll leave it in the description if you wanna check it out after this one. But you wanna have a day where your whole purpose is just to get stronger on arm movements. But don't forget diet. As a tall guy, you're probably very skinny and you need to bulk. So do that, otherwise you're just gonna spin your wheels. You're not gonna get much done without bulking, because shorter guys can gain weight much faster. But you can't, because you got more mass to fill. You burn more calories. Another thing is to not just stick to what you know that you're good at. For example, taller lifters are really good at pulling, but why are they so good at it? Well, because the range of motion is decreased. And that's great from a powerlifting standpoint. While for most movements you get more stimulus on them because you're taller and you have more range of motion, and therefore you get much more stimulus. For the deadlift, that's the complete opposite. Like, yeah, it's cool that you can put all this weight on the bar, but you're probably not gonna build a lot of muscle on that. For shorter lifters, the deadlift is great, but for you, not as much. However, you can still do a deficit deadlift and you pretty much solve the problem. But yeah, that's the key to getting bigger as a taller lifter. You'll notice that a lot of machines are more catered towards shorter people. But you wanna try to work around that. Try leaning back more on pull downs so that you don't touch, you know, the weight when you finish the rep. You can put like pads on the lying hamstring curl and things like that, just to get a little bit more range of motion. Always try to get more range of motion if possible. So I say don't skip other movements. Don't just do deadlifts because you're good at them. That's the reason why many tall lifters have good backs and hamstrings but no quads, because they skip squats. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you that squatting as a short guy is as easy as squatting as a tall guy, because it's not. You will have to pay attention to more things when you're squatting as a tall guy, as opposed to a short guy, to make sure that you're not just doing a good morning squat, you know. But most people will find out that they can squat. It's just that they have too big of an ego to go lighter. If you stand up right now and do a normal bodyweight squat, chances are it's probably gonna look pretty good. You're not gonna good morning a bodyweight squat. No, you only do that when you have a weight that you can handle. So go lighter, and while you're at it, try to use a slower tempo. I don't think this is a really important thing for most lifts, but for squat it definitely is. Especially if you're taller. Again, just like in the bench press example, you do this to not lose your groove. If you have trouble squatting to death, you can always do a heel elevation squat. That's a great one. And if you still try to good morning the weight, try to use a few cues like, you know, chest up, back and hip stacked, things like that, you know. So I'd say that being a tall lifter is a blessing and a curse. You do have a higher potential for gains, but your progress will seem a bit slower. But the ceiling from a short lifter to a taller lifter is way higher. I mean, you're not gonna reach the ceiling in either case, but it's still worth a try. There's always something that you can do better to get bigger. And realize that while it's gonna take longer for you to look bigger, when you actually become big, you're gonna look like a monster. And when you're tall and jacked, and you're sitting to a short guy and jacked, you're gonna mock him like crazy. Like, that's kind of the thing. That's why most fitness influencers are very short, because they're only really big online, but when you stand next to them in real life, you actually see how big they actually are. So don't get discouraged. Being a tall lifter is great, and being tall in general is better in basically every aspect of life. And I'm not even dissing the short guys, it's just the truth. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, as always. I'll see you next time.